Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Block Sauce, your weekly web show that serves up the juiciest discussions and debates in the world of Web3 culture. I'm your host, Jen Kieran, and we've got an incredible panel of experts lined up for you today, so sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy some serious sauce.
I'm watching the video.
All right, how's everybody doing today?
Fantastic.
As you guys can see, I forgot to change Sinjin's name. You're Fresco for now.
Sun God Fresco.
I got Dub and I forgot Sinjin. There we go, fixed.
I'm Fresco. Look at my pipes.
Watch me.
I love myself.
Man, this morning I was working on so much with the streams and overlays and everything, and I thought I nailed everything. That's my bad.
Fresco.
Well, now you're Sinjin again, so.
Oh no! I want to be Fresco.
We don't want to confuse people.
I want to love my pipes. I'm the Sun God Fresco.
How you doing, Jorge Dub? What you guys up to?
I think Sinjin did such a flex that my phone fell. The video camera fell off the computer just now.
I saw that. You got a lovely ceiling.
Oh man.
Very ornate, a very nice light fixture you have there as well. I noticed the lack of ceiling fan. Quite a ballsy play there. But yeah, doing great. Lovely day. Staying cool, calm, and collected here in the wild world of Web3.
Oh, it's wild indeed. We got lots of news. I'm sure you guys have been in all the loops and seen all the various things that have been coming across the feed. So we're just going to dive right into it. Sinjin, I'm sorry. I know you've been drugged through this time and time again, but the first thing we're going to bring up has probably been the hottest topic of the week, the Azuki Mint. So I'm going to, I'm not familiar with Azuki. I'm going to be fully transparent. I just recently started hearing about them because of the mint and everything. But this is kind of what I've gathered, right? They've had these collections, and it's mostly branding and IP related. There's no real utility. They're not really used for a game or anything like that. And they had a new mint this week at 2 ETH, mind you. It sold out, so there's obviously a want and demand for it. But they claimed it was to grow the garden. But from what I've seen and heard, most of the people who got in were already holding Azuki assets. Do you guys have anything to add to that? Am I missing something here?
Well, they dropped the 10K to existing holders, right? And then they had the chance to mint further. And then the beans got the remaining 1,000 or so. And that's how pretty much it ran. So it was it 20,000 additional?
I'm not sure.
20,000 additional, but what's interesting is technically they did grow the garden because through the FUD cycle that happened and getting below mint, that gave an opportunity for new people to enter below the mint cost even, and essentially grow the garden. I mean, whether it was it was the right way to do it.
That's the best play, like just crash your price and allow more people to come in. That's what Elon's been doing. Like Elon's taking his Tesla. It's a valid strategy, right? And he keeps reducing the price, and you buy it, and then he announces that the price is now dropped, and the people who just bought it like 2 weeks before are pissed. But at least it brings more Tesla people in. It's better for the whole ecosystem.
Well, this morning I was seeing that they apparently cashed out like 40 ETH or something like that.
40 mil. USD.
Well, no, 40 mil is what they made from the mint, but apparently they already took it to Coinbase and cashed out.
Oh,
could be. But here's the thing to it. Like, I mean, essentially, the expectations. I think what we were seeing on FUD on crypto Twitter were because a lot of the art looks the same, right? And I don't know if the expectations were even ever set to say that art will be different. If you look at like how the evolution of some of these gaming characters over years, sometimes the character doesn't really change much, right? Like it really doesn't. So like I guess there was a missed expectation, and it could be communication issue from the Azuki team to their holders. But again, I don't really see any FUD from the holders. I think the holders were very happy about what the new art looks like.
Of the ones who didn't sell their main Azuki. So
I was about to say there was a lot of liquidating happen, so there was definitely some holders not happy.
There's so many memes about it. Like this is the Azuki, right? And then this is the Azuki Elemental, right?
I think
Azuki Elemental, and then maybe some kind of element.
No. So I saw the best meme I saw.
Elemental.
The best meme I saw was somebody took a Google CAPTCHA and they
That
said
was the one.
which one of these is an Azuki, and I looked at it and I'm like, they all look the same to me, and then that was the whole point. I was like, oh crap, I'm a bot.
Yeah, Azuki Elemental.
But I did
amazing.
see the animals, and I did like the animals. I'm just gonna say I'll give them credit there. I want a red panda.
And I gave them their fix already. So as soon as the next blood moon happens, all of the human Azukis will transform into their inner animal. And that's the whole play.
What happens to the pandas?
Pandas stay. They already transformed.
See, the thing about it is, if some of the elementals didn't have like two mouths, or like were like holding like the wand like this kind of thing, like this or whatever, then people might be able to say, hey, well, they did their best, and this was very deliberate. I think the issue is that people thought that maybe they didn't think it through, and then there was this massive amount of copium saying, no, these guys are like the biggest geniuses ever. They wanted it to drop so it enter more people into the space and stuff like that. I got to say, there's a lot of copium. My final word on it in Gamified was that what they're doing, but I think for actually Web3 gaming, it's pretty clear, like we're not going to have crossover here. There are PFP guys who like are looking at gaming as part of an IP play possibly, but they have no idea what that really means. And we're gaming guys with PFPs or NFTs looking to create a different kind of game ownership structure. So I think this is not really the bottom, but I don't know what to say. Like, I think it was just a bad business move, personally, myself. Had they executed it better, I think it would have been passable, but they didn't even execute it better. And who wants to make their main collection drop 40%?
Yeah, but Sinjin, what do you consider? How are you considering it bad business in the sense that at the end of the day they sold out, they made the money. If you look at the business metrics, they technically actually did really, really well.
Yep.
Right now, the perception from us might be a different thing, but if on a business standpoint, I mean, hey, if I sold out the collection, that's it. Like that was the goal.
Let me explain to you, young Padawan. Young special force strike leader, and I will tell you what the grand strategist has to say. I know you're good at killing people and sniping them off one-on-one, but I come with the nuclear missiles, man, my friend. And what the nuclear missile says is that short-term, absolutely. But, lifetime to create a reputation and a day to screw. Like, if it's a brand, right? And that's what you're really building out. Like, who gives a shit about this, right? Because the longevity of it and the longer you go out and the more solid that is, I mean, is it really worth it for these short term games? So, yeah, I agree. Like, on a revenue basis or in a bear market, getting more funds, that's great. But for the long term survival of their brand or development of that, it's not a good look, right?
Well, I want to play
Well,
devil's advocate here real quick because
I'll just add real quick, Jinx.
I'll go for it.
Like, I'll just tell you one thing is that this is not the first time Azuki's been fudded and fudded hard, right? I mean, Azuki was at like what pre-market bull like up there, and they went down like relatively fast when they had their whole issue with the team. So I mean, I gotta admit for them to do this and bounce back the way they did, that's pretty impressive. Now again, back to the long term of what Sinjin's talking. These guys have been through some ups and downs that I would almost say like, you know, that I would have never bought back in or anything because I would have been like, it's already question marks about the team. But you know, I agree.
Luckiness can only go so far, my young Padawan. You can only dodge so many bullets until one gets you right between the eyes, and that's the one that does it. I mean, past luckiness does not, ensure future luckiness. And let's not get it like, I mean, there's a lightning in the
True.
bottle, but there's a fucking lot of luck here. But the team is the team in the background, whatever like that. And there's a lot of, I would say, anonymity and the rest on it. And, people, they don't mind to forgive when the team is executing and they had a large bag anyways, right? And they throw great parties relative to the Web3 scene, right? But, was this, you can't say on any measure that this was a good play, right? And now, if they turn it around, can they turn it around? Yes, right. But to say that this was it was a job well done. I mean, I got to say no. And if I was Fresco here, I would be converted by the words of Sinjin right now, and I would say, as Fresco, Sinjin, I thought Knox was the smartest guy around, but no, you have truly converted me to your way, and I'm now fully a disciple of you, Sinjin. That's what Fresco would be saying right now.
Okay, so I got to play devil's advocate because I know everybody likes to build into the negative hype train, and I understand that this meant, from as me, somebody looking from the outside in, I have no affiliation or knowledge of Azuki. You're telling me you want me to come into your community. I'm not spending the equivalent of a down payment or even buying a new a whole used car to grab a JPEG. It's not happening. But what if all of this negative sentiment? Have you noticed everybody's talking about them right now? Everybody. This is like, I have not seen anybody talking about Azuki as much as until this mint. What
And people are
if
buying right now.
I know. What if, because people were buying before the mint too. They wanted to hit that snapshot, right? So what if the entire play is this was intentional? I'm just, again, devil's advocate, and they're actually going to release a system that allows you to upgrade your art in the future. Do you think that that would be acceptable, or do you still think that this was completely fumbled?
I think this was completely
Again,
fumbled, but I think that he can definitely turn it around, right?
yeah, I don't think anything's been fumbled. Again, I'm looking at this from a business standpoint, right? Like they made the money, they did the first collection, they grew their community, they have a fucking strong community apparently for them to sell out this one, right? Like for them to do what they just did, that means the community was behind it, right? Like they're doing whatever. I'm not part of the Azuki community, so I can't really speak on it, right? But I'm trying to look at it in both ways. Like I'm trying to play devil's advocate with Sinjin here because like I'm like, damn, they've done a lot of the things that almost every project wishes they could do, right?
Exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm almost at the same on the Board 8 community sense, in the sense that like for what Web3 is, they haven't scammed their rug yet. So like, at least they're doing something. Now, the issue here is I think that all of us, I don't know, is what exactly is Zuki going to build? Like, what is it that they're going to do is the really question. Are they going to do comic books? Are they going to do an anime series? Are they going to do a game? Are they going to do all these things? Because then I have to ask, like, is the $40 million enough to do that, right? It might be. I don't know. Is there another collection? Like, what does the roadmap look like for Azuki, right? Like, those are the questions that I now want to, like, kind of, like, deep dip. Because then if there is a proper roadmap and they've been following the roadmap, then buying into this project at 2 ETH or whatever it is, might make a lot more sense than going to a project that's first time going to sell their NFT with a lot of unknowns. At least these guys have everything on a checklist from a investor standpoint, checking off, saying, okay, well, here's a couple things that they've already done, and there's a track history.
So
Yeah.
from a business standpoint, I agree with you 100%. What you got, Dub?
I was just going to say, I think they have a lot to fight now, though. I think they've lost their security flavor with their community, because I doubt if they had something that was like a mint for 1 ETH or whatever in a week or two from now, I bet a majority of those buyers would be hesitant, expecting the mint to drop below mint price or whatever. Like I saw this in sporting goods too. Like if you follow Peloton, they tried to launch a treadmill and unfortunately skipped some safety issues and had some kids get hurt on the treadmill, and then lost branding, lost the safety aspect in the space, and have been just on a downfall since. So like I wonder if Azuki's going to follow that same kind of path, because there's definitely like this trust and safety that their community felt with them. It's for sure tarnished now.
The thing about, and I agree with that. I think the point that I really agree with Dub is that security aspect of it. So they're almost like the last remnants of the bull market where their floor price was still holding good, and that really is the main metric for a lot of people, right?
True.
And with Blur and everything else like that, everyone kind of dropped, but they were holding steady. I mean, there's no way that they came in thinking that, hey, it's going to be a good thing if our floor price drops, right? Because you never know how much that can drop with. So anyone who's saying that this was deliberate, I mean, you're full on copium. But in terms of the turnaround, absolutely. At the end of the day, can they reissue the metadata? Can they reissue a new contract? Can they whatever? Like right now, it's Azuki, Azuki Elemental, and then, they get the jacket on here, right? And then this is Azuki version 2, and then
Right.
it's
But
good.
Fidget,
Everyone's
but
happy.
Fidget, now hold on. But you see,
I want
I
half
think.
dress now. I want half dress. Not gonna let me finish? Okay. Fuck Azuki version 2. Whatever happens, happens. Go ahead.
But it seems that the community is okay with those versions. No one's complaining about it, right? I mean, like, if it was such an issue, I think Azuki would have taken a huge hit right now, because then it would have been like, oh my God, this is the same art. But
It did
they're
take a
not
huge. Are
taking.
you on the same Twitter as I am?
I was about to say they
Yeah,
took about a
sure.
40
What are you
40
talking
ETH
about?
hit.
40%?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's NFT projects. I mean, 90% is usually I think the real hit, right? No,
No,
I
but
mean,
what
is
I'm
it?
saying is that Zuki is one of the last of the remnants from the bull, right? And for them to do that, do I think they have a team that can turn it around and execute now that whatever? Yeah, I think so too, right? Do I think it's the end of Azuki? I don't think so, because there are 1,000 more projects, just like what you said, Jorge, that would have taken a 90% hit and they would have been eradicated, right? But this is all kind of like an academic argument because, or whatever, in terms of like talking about whether they're getting into gaming or they're getting into like anime and stuff like that. And the trailer looks great, right? But
Yep.
if you've been watching anime for 20 years, not like one element of their trailer was like brand new, right?
Nope.
But if they put it together and everyone's like, oh, look, water bending, oh, lightning going through the sky, hitting. I can remember it all because it's like there are so many of the same anime that they've just cut up and put together. I'm an old fuck. You can't fool me, motherfuckers. Right? You think that's cool? You think that girl's hot? Man, I saw hotter girls back in the 80s. You think that hardcore? Man, back in the 80s and 90s, that was much more hardcore. And it's all nicely packaged for like this very superficial generation that is looking at shit anime that's just like mass produced anyways. And they're not hard to impress. But I'll say though, I wish them the best. I hope they do get into gaming, but is 40 million enough? But they have money from before as well, So Yuga Labs and Azuki spending money and stuff like that. I think it's great. I think what Yuga Labs is doing is great. I think it's good for the space and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And when the real games kind of get to market and start really getting the Web3 gamers or whatever kind of games there are, maybe there will be this, or maybe it will be a complete divergence. I'm not sure, but those groups of you go into a PFP space and you go into like a Web3 gaming space. They're totally two different things. Like I feel like I'm on another planet, man. Right? And before when there was like Goblin Town and stuff like that, and I would listen in or Milady stuff, and I'd drop in, and I would leave after 10 minutes because I'm like, there's no way I can participate in this. And listening to this shit makes me feel like I'm not like, am I insane or are these people insane? I have no fucking idea. Right?
So,
because there'd be like 1,000 people in there. I'm like, holy shit.
So my only criticism of the whole situation is communication. I looked on their Twitter and I scrolled through days of pages dating before the mint. I could not find any utility. I could not find any roadmap. I could not find any use for these NFTs. There was no real art teasers other than like I think there may have been like a bean or something because of the bean holders. I don't know. I feel like if they had been more transparent about why this mint was going on, what it was going to be used for, and that some of the art was going to still be really similar to the original, I think there would be a lot less outcry. I think people going in blindly with blind faith, just trusting that Azuki's going to do the right thing, is what led to people being disappointed.
This is where like you're disconnected with the PFP space because they did say all that shit because at the fucking Vegas party. Check your wallets, motherfuckers! Right? The expectation was like,
Yeah, I also wonder if they did actually reveal a lot of the humans that were very close to the Genesis Azukis. If they had revealed and done like a highlight trailer or something, like would have that caused FUD leading into the mint? Yes or no? When
did the trailer come out? The anime trailer come out? Did it come after the mint or before?
Pretty sure it was before.
It's before. Yeah, before.
There you go.
It was at Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean that's the elementals. Although it's hard to find out what the elemental traits are when you look at the elemental. Again, I'm not bagging on it. I wish them all the best of luck. I love you, Azuki people. I love the anime space.
So are you buying? Are you gonna buy an Azuki today or no?
I'll totally be honest. Is that no? But I was very early to buy one when they were like 1.2 ETH. Very early. No, but at that time I had just gone to the NFT space and I had been looking at these apes and everything else like that, and actually nothing had held my interest at all. And for me, as like a non-NFT person, to think about even spending like 1.2 ETH or whatever like that at the time, I'm like, that seems like a lot. And but I still remember that moment because that Azuki art was the only art that I thought was great. And to be frank, my own gaming project, My Angry Yahoo Friend, right? We took a lot of cues from that, trying to learn what that was all about and follow suit with it, with like a lot, like Valhalla, all these other projects that happened. And so, for what they're good at, Azuki executes the best. And they did get the lightning in the bottle. I personally would have preferred they did something a little bit more like a different stylized art or, different stylized anime or whatever like this, and actually had a win,
I disagree. I think the art was great. They just need to get rid of the humans and use more red pandas. Done.
Yeah, how many red pandas are there in the entire platform?
Probably like 20, right?
Yeah, 20. Woo! All right, you're right, Jim Karen. I stand corrected.
But no, I do wish them the best. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on those red panda prices. I'm not even kidding. I don't know. I just love pandas, and once I saw that they were in the collection, I was like, you know what? I could FUD on Azuki just so I can get a cheaper panda, but we'll keep it unbiased, right?
I'll be sure in my next collection to put in pandas, red pandas as well.
Yes. Heck yeah. So, moving on.
It's an idea, you see.
Unless anybody's got something to add.
Coming.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything to add on Azuki before we go to the next one?
The only other thing is it's an interesting trend that's coming out is like the elemental knockoff or spoof. I'm seeing a lot of it from like ETH lizards, from the ARFs, the sappy seals. So I'm going to pay attention to those. Just from like a humor standpoint, I want to see who does it and how that lands.
Meiji, we're gonna do elemental Meijis.
There you
right?
go.
Yeah.
Except they're gonna do them right, and they're gonna have actual elements.
No. You gotta do it wrong.
They'll just shift. They'll look the other way.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just mirroring them. Okay, got it.
Yeah, we'll just mirror them, and it's an elemental.
Okay. Well, in other news, for those that did not see it yesterday, it looks like one of Solana's largest NFT rental platforms is shutting down, Cardinal. Did anybody catch that one?
News to me,
Solana?
fresh off the
Is that a
press.
chain?
Yeah, and you know that, Jorge. We can dig on Wax and that chain, that's fine. But Solana, they still have active games with active ecosystems and
True.
active player bases to this day, with over a year worth of history since mint. So,
Do you want to know a
nice
fun
try.
fact about Solana? If you spell it backwards, it's anal OS. That's a fun fact. I learned that fact that some words are like one way or the other. Like the original was Solana Beach, which I've been to in San Diego, and then anal OS the other way.
So, Sinjin, I
So
just got a comment. Meiji Elementals. I'd buy that. So, there you go. Next collection.
all right, little pandas and flipped perspectives and stuff like that. You got it. Portraits.
Two too. Make
Well,
sure you got
that's sad. I mean, the thing with the rental thing is we're doing that as well. We have a supplier that is going to have. Oh, what supplier could that be? Oh, yes.
I wonder.
And, we're looking forward to making an official announcement on this particular supplier. But one thing is that we are on ETH. There are issues there, but it's also a matter of whether or not the value is there for rental. So I think there's two propositions here. One is rent the NFT, see whether or not the game is good, where you fit with it. Rent the NFT and see if there is a monetary benefit for doing so. Right.
I think
Well,
the potential for renting NFTs is actually really underestimated and something that people haven't really talked about or advertised too much. I was actually in a space with the Re-NFT team, and they asked them, well, why would somebody want to rent an NFT? Like, why would you want to rent an in-game asset, right? And I jumped up on that stage so quick. I'm like, look, guys, I play World of Warcraft. I raid every week, and sometimes when we want to push bosses, I don't have the gear for the boss. If you tell me that I can just spend $2 or whatever, go buy a full set of equipment off of somebody, rent it for the night, go in, kill the boss, and then tomorrow it goes back to the original owner, what's wrong with that? That's
yeah.
great. I can progress my game, I can continue playing and pushing content, and all it takes is a couple of bucks versus me having to shell out like $100, or if you want to be a free player, like 100 hours to grind for the gear, right? Some of us have 9 to 5s. We can't grind games like this younger generation, right?
Right.
So,
Well,
so do you think it's more of an education issue, really? Because, like, I think like what's being built. I mean, this is an infrastructure that is much needed, especially in a
Hmm.
space where there's a lot more meta gamers than actual gamers, right? So,
Yeah.
this infrastructure is very much needed. But is it more of either an education or a security of safe? Like, do I feel safe? My assets being, being lent type thing. Like, what do you think is the issue here?
well,
I'm
that's
gonna
what.
personally say education, and that's because whenever I first came into the space and I saw Cardinal, and I was like, why would I rent an NFT from somebody? I was like, there's no reason to. There's no, like, I can just go buy my own, right? But then I start seeing these assets that are selling for like $2,000-$3,000, and I'm like, I'm not buying that, So being given the option of renting it, even if it's for a day or a week or whatever, at a much, much more reasonable and affordable price point, is great for me as a user because now all of a sudden I can afford entry. And it's great for the people who buy the asset and rent it out because now they can get passive income and support the economy within the rest of the game.
I think it's actually boils down to market evolution, and it's a chicken and the egg kind of scenario. Like
Hmm.
sports markets, I just draw conclusions to sport markets, I guess, left and right. But the rental sport market did the same thing. Like as new sports emerge and all that, the rental of that sport doesn't come in until much after that sport is like developed. There's a player like, and with
Hmm.
gaming, like there's never been a reason to rent a CS:GO knife skin just because it would be just a flex. Why would you do that? Like, but now with Web3 gaming and everything, I have an army of angry girlfriends, and I want to loan them out to my friends for free to be on my army and to be a part of my Yakuza clan.
Hmm.
And that's an evolution in gaming that just hasn't happened yet. And it's like that needs to be like have the structure in the game, the fan base to be behind it, and then these platforms really start to sing and really start to show because it's the market's just not there for it yet.
What do you think, Sinjin?
Like I completely agree with Dub. The thing about it is that obviously most of the Web3 developers are hoping or have designed for a game that um, will have solved like the play to earn thing or a derivative of that. And if it does do that, then having your asset as the NFT sit there without being played is negative, like asset value, right? You want it to be played, right? Or else if it's a cooperative game, you hold the asset of it. You hope that it's going to appreciate, but you want it to work. And if you can, work with your friends and create like an in-game clan that's set up for that. And for myself as a game developer designer, I mean, we've set it up with that in mind, right? But this is all dependent upon whether or not the mechanism for the hybrid or whatever evolved play to earn or whatever you want to call it works, right? If
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't, or if it's not really there, one moment, sorry, the wife was calling. Um, I just hung up on her for you guys.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's okay. Luckily, she's not in crypto Twitter. She's not calling me to give me shit about this. So, why would you do that? Oh my god! Sometimes we're at a dinner party and stuff like that, and she like steps on my toe, and she steps it on. Like
Oh.
after 15 years of marriage, there's like varying degrees of like stepping on my toe. It's like step on my toe, relax, calm down. Step on my toe, you're like kind of pissing me off. Step on my toe, don't bother coming home tonight. Like there's like different levels of like whatever her doing that. But I would say that if you don't have like this kind of um, play to earn type of mechanism, whatever form it is or however you want to say it in there, and you're just about adoption, right? Then it's totally dependent upon whether or not this game gets adopted in a way that works and it gets that volume, and then I think Dub's prediction really kicks in at that time where there is this lag before this really happens. Yeah.
So we got a comment, Sinjin. They said that she's Pavloving you.
Pavloving, yeah, yeah, she has. She has. Someone touches my foot, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna slow down now. But luckily, I'm free to say what I want
For now.
for now. I was gonna do the sun god flex. See, I have so much fat that you can't even see when I flex like the muscle tone. Right? This is like how big I'm sure whatever Fresco's forms like biceps are. But he's got definition though. I just got
You should do the push-ups on camera so that everybody could see it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know I can do it. Did you see the push-ups that I did at the
Oh,
Wolf
no.
You were out that time. Boy, you never saw it though, eh?
I'll send it.
I
to
saw
him.
it. What do you mean? I was going down up the stairs when I heard the commotion. I was like, all right, let me turn around. What's happening here?
Dub's like, I got the
Oh.
recording. We got it on
Yeah,
video.
yeah.
4K.
Yeah, we're all good. It's funny. Fresco has vanity muscles, and then Sinjin has productive
Actual muscles. Yeah.
Real man muscles. That's right. You can just say it straight
You can
up.
quote me on that. Feel free.
All
There goes my
right.
relationship with the Fresco.
So the next up on the chopping block is Elixir X GameStop. For those that are not aware, Elixir is now working with GameStop. It's been announced officially that they're working on a Web3 native launcher called Player, and this is going to be under the GameStop umbrella. I know that Elixir previously announced partnerships with Square Enix, so it seems like they're reaching out, making some pretty big moves with some big names from the Web2 space. Are you guys bullish or?
Bullshit to get on it.
It's interesting, right? I mean, I'm happy to see GameStop pushing the agenda and making these moves in general. Overall, when I look at the launcher landscape, I do feel it's a bit overcrowded, and I would have rather seen GameStop somewhere plugging into like Epic or Steam or something like this, more existing. But overall, I think it's a big win for the space over, and it depends on execution really here on forward.
Well, I don't like the thought of them plugging in with Steam because Steam's complete like anti-blockchain, anti-crypto, blah 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 stance. So I don't think that would have worked out for them. Epic is a bit more lenient, but they've got a big flag for all the Web3 games that basically even advises you not to buy into them. So I feel like teaming up with the Web3 native launcher is great. Whether or not they really needed to, though, I don't know. I feel like GameStop probably could have just built it on their own.
Yeah, I think they kind of bought some like audience respect by doing this. So people who are familiar with Web3 and are in this market are going to be more willing to jump into GameStop because they are partnered with an already existing name in the space that people trust.
Do we trust them though?
So
I do. I actively use it, Elixir. I used it yesterday.
So I'm looking at this more from the business standpoint, and I think this is an excellent move because GameStop has seen decreasing sales constantly. Let's be honest, physical copies of games are becoming less and less common. Some developers aren't even releasing physical copies. So I think leaning into the software side and focusing on trying to get people involved on the software end and making purchases through those systems might actually be really beneficial for them, similar to what we've already seen from like Microsoft and Sony with their cloud offerings and stuff like that. So with that in mind, what's your opinion?
Well, I think we should, excuse Jorge from this conversation because he's a consultant, and I don't want him to say stuff that will never get him any more clients. But let me speak as someone whose game will never go onto GameStop because it is a plus 17 game of luxury and just R-ratedness. It's not R-rated, but whatever. I'll say it's a public company. The GameStop is infamous because of Roaring Kitty and Wall Street Bets and all the rest, and it was shorted for pretty good reasons. The management was completely uninspired, and then all this stuff happened, and then we're expecting all these things from GameStop to kind of convert from retail to online. Do they have the chops for it? The very first thing they had done, not the very first thing, but something that we thought was very significant was, Immutable X and we call it their NFT shop. Is that correct? Yeah. And, that didn't really go off. I mean, it did for a bit. I mean, better than some other NFT places, right? And then with Elixir, what are they trying to do? But, public companies, they need to make public announcements and they need to do the best public announcement they can. That doesn't necessarily mean they're picking the best solution. They may say they're picking the best solution, but that's not really always the case. Myself, the stream's live, right?
Yeah.
I like to plug out Hyperplay. Some really good, actual, real technical development there, not just like taking open source shit and kind of like repurposing and stuff. And I think like if you're gonna focus on something like that, yeah, I'm just saying like it's just real. This is real. I don't give a fuck about like Elixir. I don't give a fuck about GameStop. So we're not gonna work together. Fine. Don't call me. I'm not calling you. But
Oh man.
is it a big deal? It's only a big deal for people who want it to be a big deal. You hold GameStop stocks, great. You're supporting Elixir, great. And you think that this is gonna push all the bags up and it's suddenly gonna bring us into like a bull market in the middle of the worst bear market in the history of mankind, modern finance. Sure, since the Great Depression. Fuck yeah. Fuck all the other narratives in the world, right? Like this narrative of GameStop and Elixir, it's gonna change the fucking world, right? And Azuki's yesterday's news, right? I think it's a nothing burger. I will be really surprised if anything really happens out of this 1 year from now. And someone go on that Twitter, remind me in a year whether Sinjin's the right motherfucker like he always is, right? And it will repeat back. I don't need a year to like come back. Sinjin is the right motherfucker here.
It's right? In my calendar. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Sinjin, right now my face hurts because of how much I am laughing and smiling, and I'm not just like kind of smiling. I'm like smiling hard, and I can't stop because the longer you go on, the more I'm just dying.
Look, I think, at the end of the day, my biggest concern, not with this relationship, my biggest concern in Web3 has always been that we don't have the right business professionals to really understand what putting together a roadmap and a business plan and how to actually execute on certain things, right? And so I think like, a move like this from GameStop
Yeah.
and Elixir, I just hope that, Elixir and is putting in the right people behind pushing this, because this is a huge thing for them and a huge thing for GameStop and a huge thing for
Hmm.
the Web3 space. And so like there's more reason for me to be like very supportive of this. But history tells us in the Web3 space, we just haven't been able to successfully do anything in Web3 space because sometimes we're just lacking the right people. And so I just hope that again, like, and they might have the right people. So Carlos and his team might have the right people. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm saying about the space. So I'm just excited, hopefully, that this is something that helps the space bring more people, more users. And then the more users that are in here, they'll see Dub playing, being #1 on Meiji. Will bring more people to Meiji, and then they want to play Meiji. So, like, I don't know, it might be a trickle effect for the whole space. More users, we need it. Cool. I'm excited for it. Let's see what happens.
You know what I would love to see? GameStop needs to come up with a power up rewards member NFT, because I'm tired of resubscribing every year. And if they did that, then what they could do is all their partner games could use that NFT to reward people within game stuff. I'm just saying, just an idea. I'm an idea guy.
I mean, I think that like with what you just said, I mean, like think about how many people are subscribed to that, right? And if this GameStop deal is something that's going to open up the floodgates to people all learning more about Web3, I hope that again, like the games have the right marketing in the sense that that's not like crypto NFT. Hey, I'm gonna buy my NFT. Like, hey, it's a digital asset in your skin or whatever it is in the game. You need this to play this or whatever. And I hope it's very like understanding to gamers, right? Like, which has been our biggest issue in this past year or two, that we're not very friendly to Web2 gamers. So yeah, I hope that we are understanding all these issues in the space while we're making such a large partnership.
But the crazy thing here is that, as a public company, they have to look at numbers. Okay, I'll stop fooling around for a second here. They got to look at numbers, and they got to get numbers. They got to get revenues, right? They got to show growth, right? It's one of those things, but ultimately it's about growth, right? And is the market in a growth phase right now with all the legislation against it? Coinbase, Kraken, so on and so forth. Are there like top Web3 games that are coming out on chains that are even themselves growing in terms of liquidity, right? So you have a lot of new chains that have come out, but like compared to Ethereum, really, is there like more like liquidity than what's still on Ethereum? No, right? I mean, if you add them all together, maybe like somewhat it's comparable, but actually no, right? But then those gas fees are so high. So where's the growth and the mainstream going to come in from here, right? Now, if it's a matter of just kind of staying relevant and making a good story and then kind of building up for the next couple of years, yeah, that's fair. And I'm not knocking that. I mean, GameStop will have to, as a public company, make these kind of announcements that they're going to look for the biggest growth sectors where they think that, yeah, it's going to make it happen. And they're going to look at Elixir and they're going to see, hey, Elixir has the most games. They've already had these partnerships down. It looks like a very straightforward bet. How much due diligence have they done? How much like competence do they really have in this space? Well, it's GameStop, so I'm not being liable here or whatever like this to say that their performance has not been great in the last 10 years or so, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. But to me, again, a nothing burger.
Yeah, I hope to see them be a trailblazer in this space in some sort of way. But what I've seen so far is that they're following pre-made formats. Like they saw marketplaces come and get set up. They kind of copy pasted, and it didn't revolutionize and thus didn't take off, right? Because this space is what it is. But if they do revolutionize, whether that's in customer loyalty through this pass that's also an NFT, or something else through this launcher, like some unlock that we're not thinking of, that's my only hope. Really.
Yeah, and like I think you brought up a great point. Like, so the copy pasta has been something that they have done, but I think there's a big difference now that we're in a different time period in the sense of where game developers are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, game developers need users, right? Like it's everybody's fucking like starving for users. We see a user and it's like like it's like a steak out there. And so I think
Yeah, I'm
right
hungry.
now, yeah, like I think right now, if GameStop is bringing something like this with all their users that they claim that they have, um, I think they might be taking a little bit more serious than they were in the past. I think.
We can hope, but circling back to your point on marketing, that's actually a good segue into the next one, which is dot swoosh and Fortnite. So I'm pretty unfamiliar with dot swoosh. I am very familiar with Fortnite, but from my understanding, I guess you could like go claim a
Yeah.
soulbound token or something like that, and you could connect your Fortnite account, and you could go play something in game, and it gave you an achievement, right? Is
Yeah,
that right?
I love them for proving my business model. Props to them. Basically, what's going on is once you set up a dot swoosh account, think of a dot swoosh account as a MetaMask wallet. It
Mm-hmm.
is Nike's custodial wallet for their crypto users. Once you link that wallet to Epic, then you get a soulbound achievement for doing so. You have until a certain date to do it, and then they are using that achievement as the whitelist for their next shoe collection, which will have a game utility. Um, then there's a second achievement that is just a hat on a hat for buying the Nike Air Max pack in game with V-Bucks. And it's just an achievement with zero promise of utility or anything saying that you bought that. Congrats. So it's just on chain achievements for in game actions that you can now keep with you on your dot swoosh account as long as you have it and can be identified off of it.
Well, that's cool. So, do we see any like actual? I don't know. So I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm looking at this. I'm trying not to be super critical, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I don't really care about Nike. I'm not a big shoe guy. I really don't play a lot of Fortnite, but I love Web3. And even though I love Web3 and I want to support the ecosystem and all these systems, I'm not rushing out to go get a dot swoosh wallet. I'm not playing and re-downloading Fortnite to go get an achievement or go buy shoes, right? So is this really a good marketing tactic, or do you think it's a bit more niche than what we're seeing on Twitter? Because I saw it blow up briefly and then like I haven't heard anything since.
I think it's a
I,
good marketing tactic. I mean, in the sense that like for Web3 at least, like this is a model that this is what look. I mean, like
We
Dub's
wanted
saying
it.
right now, Dub's like this is exactly what I am doing in Web3. So like to me, it's awesome.
yeah, and I still think it is niche in that it is targeted to fans of Nike that are Web3 adjacent and Web3
Mm-hmm.
accepting. For me, I fully bought in because I've been full career in sporting goods. I've been selling Nikes for a long time, collecting Nikes for a long time. I have my own dead stock. I was stoked to see this. Like I got my dot swoosh account a long time ago, so as a fan, I was happy. And also, I've hated on Fortnite my entire gaming career. I was in Valorant, I was in Pub. I said this game sucks. I went and
Oh,
downloaded Fortnite, bought V-Bucks for the first time, and did all of these things that I would have never done if it wasn't for this activation. So if I'm only one person or like I'm a type of profile that represents 20 people today, it is what it is, but that's going to grow. Especially when the activations make sense. Like imagine minting out the skateboard shoe collection that I'm going to go use in the skating game coming up. Like that's interesting and that's cool. Like same with golf, like any of their EA partnerships, I think there is a place for digital collectibles around footwear and around apparel that allows you to flex inside of these games.
Yeah, on another point, but in agreement in terms of it's a good thing. I think it's actually a very, very good thing. And I don't think it's niche at all. I think like real adults and professionals, it's part of a plan, not a one-off party. Like check your motherfucking wallets, people. And it's there's a fucking plan here, right? And it's not like, hey, we're going to convert all the gamers and everyone over to this loyalty system right away, but we're going to take a really good step with a really good partner, right? Fuck Fortnite in Web2 gaming. who can be a better IP partner right now, and they've shown it, right? And then it's fucking Nike, right? Like holy shit. Now they take a little baby step for them, but this kind of baby step is a step forward. It's not a step that's going to disappear.
True.
It's something that's going to build on upon. So I think it's a massive win, but the massive win where it's going to be really held is like, is it going to be felt outside of this kind of ecosystem between Fortnite and Nike? No, not right now, and not for a while. But at least they are joining in, and where I guess the benefit for us as an industry is that, like, if you have two industry titans kind of doing this, it validates that there's something there, and that's where, in the greater scheme of thing, on a business level, we are going to improve. But in terms of like when all like gamer come in, when all like whatever floor price go up, no, nothing to do with that. Give me 1 second before my son destroys the kitchen.
Chaos in the kitchen.
I was about to say, I hear that.
Did you see him? He went by here, and then he little peeked out through the French doors, and then give me 1 second.
For Dub
Go for it.
So if you look on Twitter, I'm gonna go. Don't worry. If you look on Twitter, pay attention to what Dot Swoosh is saying in replies and how they're handling everything going on. It's very clear that they are just ironing out kinks, figuring out the customer service issues that are happening, and trying to solve it. And all this, they're making sure that this core base foundation of what they're building works and is a smooth funnel. And then from there, they're, because so many people set up Dot Swoosh accounts once this activation happened. My inbox got flooded for 2-3 days of people just looking for advice on how to set up a Dot Swoosh account. Like that, it blew me away. So like, I really think it's just foundational learning around just linking these two accounts. That's why it's an achievement. That's why it's the whitelist. And from there, it's building the bricks. So yeah, super looking forward to it.
Now you said I can go get a whitelist, so I could go buy some shoes, right? And then you said those shoes are going to have some sort of future use in one of their games or something?
Exactly.
So I'm glad you said that, because I finally got to use this term. So they're fidgetals.
No, in that you're not receiving
because you get the physical shoe, but
you don't get the physical shoe, to be clear. You're
okay.
A physical copy of whatever you're getting. But I have the LA colorway pair of the OG Air Force Ones on my Dot Swoosh account, and I turned around and bought on eBay the matching pair of those in my size from Deadstock. So like, it is phygital in that there are Air Force shoes in this collection that are 1-for-1 representations of past Air Forces that are in an open market right now, and having their own floors rise because collectors like me are coming in and getting it.
I think to that point, I mean, like you look at like Porsche, right? You look at some of these other places that have tried to do something very similar, right? There's definitely a connection there, right? There's definitely a connection of, I don't want to say if it's a flex, maybe it is a flex, a status or whatever it is. I know that, like, if it was like a hat or something, like where I'm into hats, like, I would want my metaverse icon, to have that same hat or whatever it is. So it's a connection, right? It's an IP connection to something. I think the beauty of everything that has just happened I thought the beauty was how much little language was used to do all this. Whereas in our space, we would have tried to say, like, make sure you connect your NFT wallet with your MetaMask and sign and all this stuff. And it's like, you could get a lot farther by not saying all that shit that's got to get involved. And I think that's the marketing right there that everybody needs to copy in Web3 to make it very easy and simple for everybody to understand.
And to be clear, Nike spent thousands of dollars and months and hours of work to get that messaging right. And that's what they've been secretly doing behind the scenes. Before I fully dove into this space, when I was working in sporting goods, I was advising on how to do this blockchain stuff and everything. And hours of meetings just on terms and going over a paragraph, and from legal to community marketing to the CFO to, for whatever reason, the CTO is involved too. the amount of arguments that are probably happening over just these sentences are, I know it's insane and painful, and it takes a lot
I
just
mean,
to get here, and they didn't even do it right. Actually,
I
there's
mean,
issues with
we
it.
see it in Web 3 too, though. We can't even come to an agreement on terminology in Web 3. Everybody's like, oh, don't call it Web 3 gaming. But then other people are like, well, how are they supposed to know it's a Web 3 game then? And it's like, well, that's the point, that we don't need them to know that yet. And I'm kind of in agreement that that is something they probably did spend a ton of money and time on. Like, if we've been here for years at this point and we can't figure it out, and Nike's just now coming over and they managed to pull this off and fairly smoothly at that, I haven't heard of any complaints with the whole setup, so it seems to be working for them.
Go check Blue Mojo's Twitter. Then
Uh
he's been having a bit of a minting issue, but and it's interesting. Like, they're very good on the Web 2 communication and customer service, but they do seem to be dropping the ball on the Web 3 side of it, specifically with the IT customer service issues, like minting's failing and being stuck in a transaction and these kind of stuff. So it's super interesting to watch, and the details are in Twitter replies right now. So it's
oh.
hard to find the details.
I'm over here trying to give them praise as somebody who doesn't even like or use Nike products, and you come in and like, hey, hold your praise. Oh man.
But I think it's comparable, like what Doug was saying, from like Web 2 to Web 3, and then Web 2, the playbook's all figured out. Web 3, that playbook isn't figured out, right? And
That's true.
so, again, like, we're gonna look back, and and Jim Karen, you say years, but it hasn't been years. It's been like a couple of years, actually, right? And we lose track of that, right? Azuki happens like 3 days ago, right? And now it feels like it's a lifetime ago almost. It's getting to that point, right? Because the shit
It's
happens so
true.
quickly and so intently. Like before I was a Web 3 founder, and I'll use the term Web 3 very deliberately here. I hate social media. I don't want my kids on it. I think like this entire 140 character thing is stupid. I get a laugh whenever someone writes a thread and they say, man, I read a book today and it was like my thoughts changed. Or like, man, I did a long form like post and it's like it was really deep. I'm like, this is not my generation, man. Like, it's just not. But what's amazing though is the collective agreement and the collective kind of thought that happens so quickly, right? And the information that gets disseminated on little tiny layers, but yet forms this kind of conscious kind of direction, which is really interesting because there were a lot of like sci-fi slash socioeconomic theories that go back to like the 50s, 60s, and 70s of like a world consciousness and how that kind of turns out. And Twitter's kind of like that. But the space is still fundamentally extremely new, and I think obviously Nike, they know that Fortnite is willing to work with Nike on this, right? They probably will not work with any other Web 3 type of game or collaboration, right? Because the IP's not there either. We still have a way to go. But Wild Paul had said yesterday on the call that really resonated with me, because I'm in the same way, is that they had sold the Age of Empire IP to Microsoft and kept the studio. And at a certain point later, even though they're building out the Age of Empire games, they didn't own the IP anymore, right? And so when they ended up selling the studio to Microsoft as well, they only got like 100 million for it, which seems like a lot, but not really compared to like what Age of Empires was, right? And so I think it's fantastic that Fortnite and Nike on a branding and IP side is involved, and I think others will involve, and that will give us validity. But I think the whole benefit of being early right now is that we are developing our own IP, right? And this is why I think more than anything else, if I really stop joking around a bit, is that I'm disappointed with Azuki, because I think that's one of the stronger IP plays in this kind of Web 3 space, right? The NFT space, right? I'd like them to be better, to show like a kind of success case, right? But I think all in all good, Nike and dot swoosh.
Look. I'm gonna have to agree at this point because after listening to Dub talk, I went to go sign up for a Dot Swoosh account. So now I'm gonna have to go whore out myself so I can get an access code because I didn't realize it was gated behind an access code. And now I want to go play Fortnite. So god dang it. I hate that it's working. I'm apparently one of the one-off like side demographics because I'm a gamer,
So
and
are
then
you
he told me
buying a
that
Mizuki too, or no?
no, 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 not unless those red pandas come
Oh,
down. Then maybe. I mean, if we FUD hard enough, I can get a panda, right? One day, maybe.
Yeah, Fresco,
Oh
he's
man.
trying to get a public donation for an Azuki. He's been shilling it hard.
Well,
It's like,
just
I
don't
don't have an Azuki, but these are all the good things I think about Azuki now.
just don't take a loan against it. From what I was seeing online, apparently some people had loans against their Azukis, and with the current conditions, people are defaulting. So whatever you do, don't take out a loan against an NFT. That makes no sense in my opinion. That is like
It's not the worst thing, but it's like the whole premise of taking out a loan and then buying three more, and then taking out another loan and buying three more. That's I guess where the issues start to come in.
Yeah, if you want to do that through Dub, just hit me up. No problem. I'll default people. All good.
I was listening to somebody yesterday that's like, oh, I can't buy crypto because I'm in America. And somebody's like, oh, here, just send me some money through PayPal. And he's like, okay. I'm like, well, why can't you just buy it through MoonPay? He's like, oh, because I use a credit card. And it dawned on me. I'm like, this dude is using his credit card on PayPal to pay people to buy crypto. I was like,
Well, you
that's
can use your credit
genius.
card on MoonPay, first of all. So,
Not certain states have it banned. I can't use mine either.
oh,
Yeah, it won't
Yeah.
let me. I tried. I thought about the same thing. I was like, I could use credit to buy crypto and invest and make money. And then they were like, no, you're not.
I did that. I bought gaming NFTs with my credit card.
I believe it. Not financial advice, by the way. This is just us talking our own personal silliness.
I
Obviously.
had to try
but
it. I was surprised it worked.
I wish mine did. So does anybody have anything else before we wrap it up today? I mean, we've kind of hit some of the bigger news this week, unless I'm missing something. You guys something to
no,
share?
I
You're more than
mean,
welcome.
this was definitely great. It's great to be able to talk about some of the key issues in our space, or even key announcements or wins or whatever, however you want to see it. It's awesome to bring on a different face. So, Dub, thanks for coming on. Had a blast with you, as always.
Appreciate it.
Um,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
yeah, no, exciting show. Thank you again for everybody that tuned in.
I'm glad that we had such contrasting opinions this time because I think it was last week like everybody was in agreement on everything and I'm like, well, this show isn't as spicy as we usually have.
I guess I wasn't there last week.
No, you weren't actually, and that was part of the problem.
That's hilarious.
No, last week we were compliant friendly, so like anybody could watch it. This
Oh,
week
yes.
we went back to the blacks off.
It's always good to see Jorge because I want to say that he is a really solid guy. So if you're looking for a consultant who knows what's going on, that's your man right there. He'll give it to you straight, and everyone in this space is optimistic, and we're all kind of pioneers, no matter how much we slag or are negative, because we're all early to space and Dub with his background as well. But I haven't seen anyone dive in as quickly and as comprehensively as Dub. I mean, he's a real professional in this space. And Jim Karen, you are a fantastic host, and you are around and you're representing the real, truly gamer side of things, and keeping it very real. So, I enjoy being with you guys, fucking around, and saying my shit. And it's a good time because I think this Web3 and crypto in general is full of so many fucking bullshitters, but these bullshitters have power because they get on the scams and they whatever, and they flex their secondhand Rolex that they bought. And I know you fuckers, you don't have a relationship with a fucking 80 to actually buy it properly, right? I fucking do, you little punks, right? And what's going to happen though is that this is kind of a transitional period where the people who are real and have real product and real gaming and stuff like that, that's going to change things, because what's going to happen is that who is Nike and who is Fortnite and who are these bigger brands really going to kind of latch onto? And it's going to be the people who are very legit. Now, in the case of GameStop, that will be the exception, though, because GameStop is GameStop. They're going to do what a public company who wants to keep the fucking momentum going does. yeah, we're never working together, and I never want to work with GameStop as well. You know, because it's a fucking red herring, man. So to
I
end with
don't
that
know.
controversy, but I
I
will say Gene Karen and Jorge and Dub, they are up for working with GameStop, and Dub, he loves Elixir as well. He's down with that, and I'm sure Jorge is ready to work for anyone who will pay top dollar and not make him do anything illegal. Yeah.
so
I just play
before we
games, guys.
yeah, before we wrap this up, Dub, because you are a new face, I want to give you an opportunity to tell people real quick where to catch you, what you do, and we'll wrap it up from there.
I'm really good at playing video games. So you can follow me on any social media platform you choose by searching dub with two H's. You'll find me there. And then I always welcome stream sniping into my streams because you guys aren't even good enough to beat me anyways. So bring it on. Hope to see you in the games.
All right. Any final thoughts,
Shout out to
Jorge?
Kobe in the comments, and shout out to all those creators that are in the space, man. We're very much appreciated by them, and always supporting each other. That's the biggest thing in this space because we're still early.
100%, 100%. Sinjin, I know you love to talk. You got one more thing to get out there? Or are we good? Or, sorry,
All I know
Fresco.
is
Sorry, Fresco.
I'm going to New York tomorrow to see Sinjin. That's all I know. So wish me all.
We're
Wish
gonna
me
go
all
to
luck.
Keen's Chop House. There, I'm promoting something that's is quality that's been around 100 years. Okay, Keen's Chop House. You gotta get there and have the mutton chop. But I never do. I always go for the prime rib. Oh my god, that's so good. Just thinking about how good that is. Anyways, guys, look, it's fucking tough right now. It's not about being fearless or sloppy and kind of getting into it. Have some courage. It's going to be a slog, but you look at something like Nike and Fortnite getting in together. It's happening. So just have some courage and keep it going.
As Rod said a minute ago, great words of wisdom from Sinjin. We're just missing Fresco's biceps. So that's a wrap for us, folks. Unfortunately, Shay was not able to make it today. She ended up being ill at the last minute, so she should be back next week for next week's show. But in the meantime, we're going to bring the Block Sauce to a close. Thank you, everybody, for joining. A huge thank you to our phenomenal panelists for taking time out of their day to join us and hang out, share their insights and expertise. So make sure you guys follow them on any socials. I think Twitter is pretty much everybody's primary. So and of course, we couldn't have done it without our amazing viewers and supporters. Your engagement and passion fuel our drive to bring you the hottest topics and thought provoking conversations week after week. Remember, the sauce never stops flowing. And if you have any suggestions for next week's topic, feel free to drop it in the comments and we will consider it. I can't make any promises. We like to do things on the fly. I see Sinjin over there smiling ear to ear. So, and if you missed any other episodes, make sure that you head over to our website. Got videos up on Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I'm trying to convince the team to maybe expand a little bit further, but I'm not going to say where just yet, so keep my mouth shut there. And that's going to be it for today, Sauce Enthusiasts. Join us next week for another exhilarating episode of The Block Sauce, where we'll keep the flavor alive and the discussions fiery. Until then, stay saucy and keep rocking the Web3 culture. Have a good one.